Okay, so it's our component 2 exam tomorrow. So I just wanted to recap some really important things to make sure that you are ready and confident and can perform to your best in the exam tomorrow. So here are the things I want you to remember. Firstly, I'm going to talk about some general exam techniques. So what do you need to do once you get in there? So first thing is read all the questions on the paper before you start. So you make sure you read the whole paper, you've got your head around it, and remember there are going to be some extra essay questions that you aren't going to answer. So in the final set of essays, there'll be one on the independent contemporary dance scene in Britain, which is the one you're going to answer. But there's also going to be one on ballet, there's also going to be one on jazz, there's also going to be one on modern dance. So you want to make sure that you don't answer any of those questions, you focus on the independent contemporary dance scene in Britain, which we have studied. Next up, remember you don't have to complete the questions in the order that they are on the paper, and actually you shouldn't. It's really important to get cracking with an essay. Because the essays are worth the most marks overall, we don't want to be leaving one till last and running out of time and rushing it. So we want to make sure we get at least one essay out of the way, maybe even both essays done first, and then we can move on and whiz through our short questions. Just make sure you put the question number in the margin so that the examiner knows which question you're answering. So here we go. So that's really important because we're not going to answer the questions in order. So the examiner needs to know what order you are answering the questions in. You want to remember that nothing else goes in the margin. That's where the examiner marks your work. So any diagrams, any drawings, any kind of extra notes, take them, let them be pride of place in the centre of your paper. Don't whack them in the margin. And please take notice of those command words. They're there for a reason. They're there to signpost exactly what they want to hear from you, exactly what they want to know. So go back through that glossary of command words. Make sure you know exactly what is expected when you see each of them. So then you've got your short, we're going to talk through short questions first, because they're going to appear first on the exam paper. Obviously, you don't answer your essays first, or at least one essay, but let's have a look at what I want you to think about for short questions. So if you're asked to explain anything in your own practice, so explain, how you have improved your performance skills in your own practice, or explain how you've improved your strength to improve your own performance. There's two parts of the explain. So obviously you do your description first, and you do a nice detailed description of the exercise. But then for strength, for example, you need to explain the effect on the body. So you're going to talk about those minute muscular tears. Then you're going to explain the effect on the performance. So improved strength will mean that your balance is better, or that your control is better when landing from a jump, or turning, or lifting your partner, whatever. So there's two parts to that explain. Again, read those command words carefully. Make sure you know exactly what they want to hear from you, and also exactly how much you need to write, because obviously if it's an identifier, it's that shortest possible phrasing. So make sure once you've read all the questions, when you go back, it will let you know like question 1 to 3 are linked. So don't just start question 1, reread questions 1, 2 and 3 again, so you make sure that you're not answering question 2 in your question 1, so then you don't end up repeating yourself, because that would be a real waste of time. Finally, look at the available marks. That's going to help you gauge the amount of time and the amount of detail you need to put in, because remember, it's all about point per mark. You can't get 4 marks if you've just given one point, one sentence. So to really try and think, have I given enough points? Even, bullet point your sentences if you want, so you can see really clearly if you've made enough points. So then, thinking about essay questions in general. Our essay questions should always consist of an introduction containing contextual information, 3 to 4 peel paragraphs, and a conclusion. The peel paragraph should always include a specific example supported with a diagram for clarity. And in that specific example, you should have included action, space, dynamics, and relationships in that description as well. Your conclusion must include a judgment. If we look at what you're marked on, AO3 you get 10 marks for your knowledge. AO4, you get 15 marks for your analysis and interpretation, and that includes a judgment. So in your conclusion, an easy way of making sure you have a judgment is to find one similarity and one difference. Don't just sit on the fence. Make sure that you've shown that you are able to make judgments and to pick out similarities and differences. If you're writing a comparison essay, so a discuss or a compare in the command word, you can sneak in a mini conclusion after the first 2 peel points. That's going to make sure that your judgment is running all the way through your essay. It's going to make sure if you run out of time near the end, you've still got some good judgment embedded in there as well. So when you're on your Rambert essay, you want to ideally write 2 points about Christopher Bruce, 2 points about Richard Alston, unless the question specifically asks you to focus on one practitioner. Then you stay focused on one practitioner and don't even mention the other unless you're kind of mentioning them in passing. You want to give examples from at least 3 professional works. Obviously, ideally, I want you to go for those 4 works we've looked at. But if you've really got a bit of brain freeze about rough cut in the exam, then 2 examples from Soda Lake is better than 1 example from Soda Lake. So it still shows, a bit of knowledge there. If the question asks you about evolution of Rambert Dance Company, you need to make sure that you are tracking the development. So you were looking at our points from the start to the end. So we want to have your pieces in chronological order. If you just don't get what the question's asking you and you're not sure what you need to write, then just write me a really nice essay with your 2 best Alston points, your 2 best Bruce points, explaining how the examples you've given have shown the themes of the pieces and how they reflect the stylistic features. So we've got a bit of a chunky and explain what we might normally have, but we're making sure that we're kind of covering all those bases and we're showing as much knowledge as we can. So then, questions for the independent contemporary dance scene in Britain. You want to give 2 points for Kahn, 2 points for Larby, ideally, again, unless the question states 1 practitioner. If it does, ideally you'd focus on Larby, because then you can talk about 3 pieces, can't you? You can talk about suture, you can talk about puzzle, and you can talk about 0 degrees. So that would be nice and handy there. Please make sure, again, you're giving examples from at least 3 different professional works, so that you're showing a good broad range of knowledge. If you don't know what the question's on about, again, 2 points on Kahn, 2 points on Larby, and tell me how the style and the themes reflect the features of new dance, which is the style of dance embodied by the independent contemporary dance scene in Britain. So, that is it. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow morning, either at 9 in our revision session, or back in the studio from 12 to get ready to go into the exam. Sleep well, stay hydrated, and I'll see you tomorrow.